The world was shocked watching the visuals and images from the Nova Music Festival in Israel on 7th October when youngsters were enjoying dancing and then came on the paragliders from Gaza to massacre, kill, rape, abduct many of these innocent people. This music festival in Israel was the site of one of the worst attacks of the Hamas extremists. The place descended into chaos when they started to kill, and the numbers coming in touched almost 300. Videos have emerged that it also shows rockets landing at the festival venue, youngsters ducking for covers. Hamas terrorists then come in and start opening fire. Many of them tried to escape and were abducted, including young women. Hamas terrorists also shot at lavatories if anyone tried to survive and hide in the washrooms. Remember Shaninu, who was abducted, tortured, found her limbs broken on the vehicle, body was dumped in a pickup truck. There was Noah, A.V. Nathan, Antonio, many others, many women, many young men who were either killed, begged for mercy, and have now been held hostage for 12 days by Hamas in Gaza with no information about them.
This is the site of the Nova Music Festival, the Rim Music Festival, and this is where Hamas terrorists landed on hang gliders, came in automobiles and massacred 260 innocent people who were here for an evening of music. Look all around this place. When you look around this place, you there. The camping site. This is where people were listening to music. Soldiers of the Israeli army are still clearing this area. Soldiers walking all around, ensuring that there are no more incendiaries or improvised explosive devices in this area. Imagine hundreds and hundreds of people here to enjoy an evening of music. Then on hand gliders, Hamas terrorists came. They landed firing, and that's just one part of the story. You had Hamas terrorists who came on motorcycles, 3 on a motorcycle, and they were firing indiscriminately into the crowd. Hundreds fled. They hid in toilets, and Hamas terrorists then opened fire at toilets. Then, when people were running in every direction, terrorists opened fire and killed people. And then, worse, they took them hostages. This is where a large number of people were taken hostages. So it was all as part of a plan. There were some vehicles that came carrying ammunition for terrorists. When they ran out of bullets, they just quickly went to that ammunition van, loaded again, came, fired again, and killed people. And then there were those vans that had been brought to take people hostage. People were taken hostage on motorcycles. Young women were abducted. Young women were raped, burnt alive, murdered. All of that happened here and in the kibbutz just next door. Kibbutz Be'eri, kibbutz Kfar Aza, and multiple other kibbutz. This is where terrorists opened fire. This place gives you the horror even now. Israel yet to come to terms with it. This wasn't a place of a festival. This was a place of massacre. Gaurav Sawant at the Rims Music Festival venue, at the Nova Music Festival venue in southern Israel, close to the Gaza border, for India Today.
But the reactions that have come from Israel are also very significant. Of course, there's a lot of shock and heartbreak, but they clearly seem united and want to very clearly send out a message to Hamas. And this is what the spokesperson told my colleague Gaurav Sawant, that Hamas has messed with the wrong people.
The site of the Nova Music Festival at Raim. Now, this is where 260 people were massacred by Hamas terrorists, and those terrorists, they came not just on paragliders but also in automobiles and motorcycles, brandishing their assault rifles. With me is Master Sergeant Dean Elsden. Master Sergeant Elsden is the spokesperson of the police here. Sir, for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us what exactly happened here?
I don't even want to call this location a festival. This is the site of a massacre. This is where innocent civilians came to enjoy. And we're talking about women, we're talking about youth. And they were just slaughtered. People came for fun and they left crying in tears. The first people to arrive here were the officers that were already on site. They were supposed to direct traffic. They were supposed to help if any of the civilians needed some assistance. And at approximately 6:30 in the morning, you had the red alerts. And so they yelled for everybody to get on the floor, to cover for safety because there's no protected areas. And they told everybody to get into their vehicles and to leave. We're talking about an open area that's a festival. That's it. There's rockets flying in on them.
So rockets were also being fired at this festival.
There was a sound of the red alert, so everybody was in a panic.
And we are a couple of kilometers from
just a
Gaza
few kilometers away. And the officers yelled for them to get into the vehicles. They directed them to the exit route, which is just one road that leads to a T. You can either go left or go right.
Yeah. And that's where Hamas terrorists were.
As the officers are yelling for everyone to go, they realize the cars are coming back to them. And they don't understand what's happening. They see bullet holes inside of the vehicles. They hear the people yelling. They say, they're shooting at us, they're shooting at us, there's terrorists. The officers start hearing the rapid fire of the bullets, and they understand quickly that there's a terror attack happening. They understand what's happening in front of their eyes. There was an officer, Officer Igal Zingir. He opened up his phone. He understood this was the only route out. He opened up, he looked for another alternative. He found a service road that led around this site and into the city of Netivot. He started yelling at people to get into their cars, to follow him. He yelled over the megaphone for people, it doesn't matter what car you're in, get in and follow me.
And all the time the Hamas terrorists were firing.
All the time. What you see around you was massacre,
and let's just look
was
around.
Chaos. Look at all the things thrown on the floor. Yeah. If it wasn't for the emergency personnel that already collected all the bodies, you would just see bodies and pools of blood just everywhere around you. Imagine your worst nightmare, and then multiply that by 100. There's no words to describe it. That's why you're here right now, to see it for your own eyes. Because my words, any other words, even people that were from there, they can't describe to you the horrors of what took place here. We're talking about innocent civilians that were being abducted, pulled by their hair.